we're going to do something. So let's introduce who we're talking about first of all to start the show.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
It's the Dallas Cowboys, and they're going to lead a lot of shows as they tend to do during this football season. What we're going to do over the next few minutes is going to be very different than what we normally do on the show as it pertains to special segments, whether it's carving up the context, Bryson's best 10, the Vol View, if I were a bet man, anything. This is different. We're going to have an intervention. We're going to have an intervention on the show because the Cowboys have a documentary coming out on Netflix. They had the premiere a couple days ago. I think it's called The Gambler and His Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, on Netflix. It's a documentary about Jerry Jones, him buying the Cowboys, their rise, their dynasty in the 90s. Again, typical Cowboys looking in the past. And Jerry Jones, if we have it here, was asked about his business model for the Dallas Cowboys, and he confirmed what all of us already knew. Take a listen.
I do believe if we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at. The Cowboys are a soap opera 365.
The training will begin
When it gets
momentarily.
I'll start.
Please take your seats.
So it's wonderful to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention.
Well, there you have it. We've got it. So Cowboys fans, let's just sit for a moment. Let's have a discussion for a few minutes. This is one of the few segments I'm not talking to anyone else in the audience unless you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. So that's one-on-one right here. I used to be in your shoes as recently as, 5 years ago. 2020 was 5 years ago. Can you believe that? COVID and all. What a crazy year. And I remember, man, I was one of them we them boys, guys. I think early on, this was before I started my show, I believed going into 2019 that the Dallas Cowboys were going to win the Super Bowl. And they disappointed me and all Cowboys Nation. They went 8-8, and Jason Garrett was fired. And then there was a long drawn-out process in regards to paying Dak Prescott. His contract expired, Cowboys franchise tag him, and they end up not giving him an extension in the offseason of 2020. 5 games into that season, he suffers the terrible ankle injury. He's out for the rest of the year, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm done. Because folks don't know this. I've been a Dak fan prior to him being a Cowboy at Mississippi State, just because I'm an SEC guy, go Vols, all of it. And I was very, very upset. And from that point on, I said, I will always pull for Dak. I'll never root for the Dallas Cowboys again if Dak Prescott is not part of their team. So if he's injured or someday, mercifully, is no longer on the Cowboys, and doesn't have to suffer in the mediocrity that organization routinely produces for the last 3 decades, then I cannot pull for the team. And my life has gotten better since then. It really has. And there are certain decisions that you have to make in order to move on from life. It's like if you've been in a relationship for a long time and it was kind of fun, kind of like a whirlwind romance, right? Kind of came out of nowhere. You're in that honeymoon stage, right? And it's all going well. But as time has gone on, as time has passed, it's not what it used to be. There's like a toxicity that comes with the relationship. And you have to make the hard decision to move on. And part of that looks like, if I can grab this here, here we go. Part of that involves things like this. If you have a Micah Parsons jersey, maybe an old Ezekiel Elliott jersey. If you're me and you have an old Jason Witten jersey, Jason Witten grew up not too far from where I live. Shout out to Witten. A Tony Romo jersey or anybody. Diggs, Dak, CeeDee Lamb. It's time for you to take this. And you don't have to go all Skip Bayless and throw it in the trash. But just put it off to the side. Put it on that hanger, put it in the back of your closet. And say, you know what? There's a time that represents a special time in my life when there was a lot of hope and optimism for what that could be. But you get to the end of the line and you're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And so Cowboys fans, take this from a former fan myself. I'm a Steelers fan now, so it's not all hunky-dory. But think about all of the great franchises. And we'll go through some of the list quickly, but think about like the Los Angeles Rams and that great ownership and Sean McVay and the great GM Les Snead and how they put together their roster. Think about teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. It would be a little bandwagony, but hey, listen, who didn't fall in love with the team at some point when they were at the top of their reign? We're going to talk Chiefs later with Anthony Salas, right? 4 championships, 3 in the last 5, 6, 7 years. They're in the midst of a dynasty. They got the best coach and quarterback in the world. Great GM, ownership, all of it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in recent years, right? Good ownership, but an outstanding front office that's put together contender year after year ever since Brady got there, even when Tom Brady left, a perennial contender. A team that Tom Brady was the greatest player in the history of their franchise, obviously, was a dynasty, maybe back on the come-up, the Patriot, the great ownership of the Kraft family. You got Mike Vrabel in the building. You got all these young players and all of this optimism that New England can return to at least some semblance of what they once were. Even once great franchises like the Denver Broncos, right? Haven't won a Super Bowl or haven't won a playoff game in a decade, but you got Bo Nix and Sean Payton. And again, I keep going back to this. Great ownership. I would not advise you to become a Baltimore Ravens fan, but if you want to, I wouldn't blame you. Lamar and the coaching staff, and again, another front office and a great fan base and a functional organization that has been since its existence. Listen, it's rough now. But as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, let me tell you, I do believe the organization wants to win. I think their philosophy at times is flawed, but I do think they want to win. And if you want to really wade into bandwagon territory, I certainly wouldn't advise this. But the Philadelphia Eagles have been well run for a long time now. There are worse calls you can make. And so when it's all said and done, look out for yourself. Look out for your mental health. Because Jerry Jones, you heard it in that clip. He told you it's not really about winning for him. The Cowboys are a soap opera. Jerry said it himself. He admitted it at the premiere of a documentary about the Dallas Cowboys, about the greats of Cowboys past and how, you know, if it's getting a little stale, yeah, it's nice to have great players, but man, Cowboys, it just came out today, shocker, most valuable sports franchise, football franchise, sports franchise in the world. Once again, Jerry's one heck of a businessman. We know this. We know he's one of the best marketers in the history of professional sports. And to his credit, he's gotten the Cowboys to that point. He set his grandchildren, great-great-great-grandchildren up for life. But at the end of the day, when you talk about this franchise, we have to, listen, let's take Jerry at his word. We have to stop discussing them as a football operation as if they're just one of 32. One of the other 32 teams in the league. We have to discuss them as, okay, they're like this, a side character in the film who creates a lot of drama, but like isn't central to the story, isn't like critical, all of these different things. And so that's who the Dallas Cowboys are. They're just here to stir the pot, as Jerry said. They're here to make the NFL even more interesting than it already is. But once we get to mid-January, late January, we're talking about the Eagles. We're talking about the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens and the Rams. Heck, recently, you might even be talking about Washington with the way their organization has been trending lately. So again, I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know this is something different than what we've done on the show in years past. It's a completely foreign topic or a form of content that we've ever done. An intervention with you, the audience. But if you are a Dallas Cowboys fan watching this, know that I'm looking out for you. Because I was there. I've been there. It hurts. Doesn't mean once you leave, everything's all fixed. Doesn't mean all your problems go away. But boy, at least you could choose an organization whose number one sole intent is to hoist that beautiful Lombardi trophy every February. Jerry, I'd sure like to. I think winning would be amazing for him. If you're up to Jerry, he'd have it all. Attention and championships. He had it in the 90s. Once he fired one of the greatest coaches ever and the coach of the 90s Dynasty Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson, once he moved on from him, yeah, they won a Super Bowl in 1995 with Barry Switzer, but that was obviously Jimmy's team. They added primetime Deion Sanders. We know the story. And ever since then, it's been a carousel of coaches and quarterbacks and defensive coordinators and offensive lines and draft picks and free agents and yada, 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 yada. You can go up and down the list. You can blame Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. You can blame Mike McCarthy and Jason Garrett. You can go down the list. You can blame DeMarcus Ware or Micah Parsons or DeMarcus Lawrence or any of these guys. But there is and always has been one key constant, one common denominator for the Dallas Cowboys falling short for the last 30 years. And by Jerry's own words, it's not really a priority of theirs to win, or at least the top priority of theirs to win at the highest level. It's Mr. Jerry Jones, owner and operator of the Dallas Cowboys. Again, I maintain, as an owner, he's awesome. He's an outstanding owner. Because an owner's job is in part to market the franchise, to bring in the cash. Boy, does Jerry do that better than anybody in the business, probably in sports. The problem is Jerry's also the general manager, and that's where I guess he falls short as an owner, because an owner's job is to hire a general manager. Well, he hired himself. He's not going to fire himself. He's going to be GM of the Cowboys for the rest of his life. We know this. And even when Jerry Jones is 82 years old, and none of us live forever, even when it's Stephen Jones' time to run the team, I don't know, Steven, if you've seen those press bites over the years, feel like he's almost influencing his dad at this point. Steven's kind of cheap. He's kind of a cheap guy. Maybe he'll hire a new GM. Maybe that'll be the only difference. So Cowboys fans, if that's your one glimmer of hope, I don't begrudge you for keeping that. But as we sit here today, this organization is not going anywhere with that mentality, with what Jerry Jones is talking about. And so, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, well, that's validation. That's everything I needed. When I left a few years ago. I'm still going to pull for Dak. Dak, you're still my guy. I really wish you hadn't signed that extension, because he would have gotten that money with a lot of teams out there. But I'm still going to pull for you, my man. Ride or die. But man, when your playing days in Dallas are done, sayonara, Dallas. And by the way, Cowboys fans are the best. Again, was one, know many. They're the best. They have a lot more, they're a lot tougher than me to continue to put up with this nonsense. But listen, this is your opportunity. This is me, Bryson Carver. This is me, the host of the Carving Up Podcast. This is me extending an invite to you, those that are listening or those that are looking me dead in the eye through that camera. It's okay to leave. It really is. You can choose anybody. Just don't put yourself through that. Don't continue to stay in the toxic relationship that's emotionally abusive. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.